Producing a single season of quality TV is a gargantuan task, but maintaining consistency across multiple seasons and then paying all that off with a gratifying series finale, well, that's practically miraculous. In fact, so many great shows have failed to stick the landing because giving audiences a meaningful conclusion to a years-long story is so difficult. A scant few, however, do manage to pull it off, and that's what we're talking about today. With that in mind then, I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 TV shows that actually stuck the landing. Number 10, Parks and Recreation. There's actually a reasonable argument to be made that Parks and Recreation should have wrapped up with its 6th season, which ended with a final episode that felt absolutely worthy of being a series finale. And yet, the postscript of a 7th season nimbly avoided the Scrubs problem, TM, of outstaying its welcome past its logical endpoint. With a 3-year time jump, season 7 was basically a victory lap for the show's characters, an opportunity to tie their arcs off in satisfying, hilarious, and oftentimes poignant ways. While Parks and Rec's ending didn't challenge audiences in any substantial way, sometimes a comforting, candy-colored happy ending is exactly what a show, its characters, and fans deserve. The big treat, of course, was seeing the show leap further forward in time in its final episode, revealing what became of every major character long term, namely the near inevitable revelation that Leslie Knope likely became the President of the United States. The real success of Parks and Rec's ending then is that it basically gave viewers 2 quality series finales for the price of 1. Number 9, The Shield. Even many great shows make slightly sentimental concessions in their final episode because the showrunners just can't resist. But you certainly couldn't accuse The Shield of doing that. Sean Ryan's legendary crime drama series grew from a thrillingly gritty cop show into a towering, almost Shakespearean tragedy over the course of its 7 seasons, chronicling the downfall of Vic Mackey's corrupt strike team. The series finale, Family Meeting, refused to grant the morally bankrupt Mackey any last-minute reprieve, for though he didn't end the show on a morgue slab, the rest of the strike team was left either dead or in jail, his family were put in witness protection, and he was left confined to a desk for the rest of his career. Even with the show's final moments hinting at the character heading back out onto the streets of his own accord, The Shield ensured no clean getaways or happy endings for its most troubling characters. Number 8, Mad Men. There were so many fan theories about how Mad Men would finally wrap up. 2 of the more common ideas being that Don Draper might have been revealed as the mythic hijacker D.B. Cooper, or that he'd end up taking a depressed leap out of a Madison Avenue window per the show's snazzy opening title sequence. But creator Matthew Weiner had something much cleverer and more inspired than either of those options, deciding to instead end Don Draper's 7-season journey with the suggestion that he might have finally achieved personal enlightenment. Or did he? See, Draper ends the show at a spiritual retreat, smiling while in a meditative pose, before Weiner then smash cuts to Coca-Cola's iconic 1971 Hilltop TV advert. If you don't know it off the name alone, you'll definitely know it off the song. The implication that Draper's retreat served as the inspiration for him coming up with one of the most famous commercials in TV history is gloriously cheeky. And even if we accept that Don found himself in a better place by the show's end, he still found a way to translate that spiritual breakthrough into a slick commercial product. Yet it is undeniably an ambiguous ending all the same. It's entirely possible that Don created the advert as a more earnest, uncynical tribute to the retreat, or perhaps he didn't even create it at all. As a capper to one of TV's richest character studies and most robust period pieces, this was basically perfection, even if it might not have been what people wanted initially. Number 7, The Sopranos. You won't find any slander here for The Sopranos' undeniably divisive finale, even if the coda for David Chase's old-timer mob show is so much more than its mere final episode. See, David Chase pulled off a riveting and often surprising 6th and final season, which saw the net of inevitability closing in on Tony and many of his closest comrades. Death was dealt out, fates were sealed, people moved on, and in Tony's case, we were left to make up our own minds. Expectations were so high for the Sopranos finale that there's very little Chase could have done to truly satisfy anyone, Kill Tony off, send him to jail, or stick him on a private island scanning gabagool, and people were still going to be pissed off. And so Chase ingeniously cooked up the most unexpected of options, letting fans take their own interpretations away from that unforgettable final image of Tony looking up. But again, this is just the tip of an outstanding final run of episodes, which brought the series back to its intense, cerebral, ultra-violent, and at times very funny best. Number 6. Bojack Horseman. Though Bojack Horseman debuted to relatively mixed reviews, it's a classic example of a TV show that truly found its groove by its second season, and by the end of its run, Bojack had reached an emotional place that few sitcoms, especially animated ones, would ever dare touch. The beauty of Bojack Horseman is in confronting difficult subject matter, namely depression, alcoholism, trauma, and the toxic potential of fame, yet never sugarcoating it in ways that feel inauthentic. Right up to its final episode, the series never let its title character off the hook for his behavior, yet rather than indulge the temptation to stew in morbid cynicism, a sly underlayer of hope nevertheless prevailed. That a show centered around an anthropomorphic horse turned out to be one of the greatest existential dramatic works of the last decade is a surprise, a triumph, and a reminder not to judge works purely by their cover. Number 5. The Wire. The Wire's 5th and final season certainly had its wobbly moments, particularly the whole fake serial killer subplot, but it course-corrected itself expertly in its closing episodes. David Simon's peerless crime drama series may not have been an awards darling throughout its run, yet it received near universal acclaim for its journalistic eye for detail and realistic depiction of the Baltimore drug trade, with Simon being a former police reporter himself. The show had such a clear-eyed, unsentimental approach throughout its entire run that it was difficult to imagine Simon getting gooey at the end, and indeed, the series finale stuck true to his bluntly cynical impression of inner city life. Now, this isn't to say that every character had a miserable ending, but simply that Simon depicted life going on. Cops and criminals alike continue to do their symbiotic thing, and despite how much we as viewers had witnessed, very little in the grand scheme had actually changed that much at all. Number 4. Peep Show. Peep Show is without question one of the greatest sitcoms of the last 20 years, and though it never achieved the high ratings throughout its run that it absolutely deserved, the strength of the writing and exactitude of the performances speak for themselves. The show wrapped up with its 9th season in 2015, and given that Peep Show maintained a deep vein of cynicism from first season to last, it's wholly fitting that the series ended with the polar opposite of a typical sitcom finale. No, instead, begrudging best friends Mark and Jez didn't end up moving on from one another to greener pastures, but basically remained stuck in the same rut, and the same flat even, that they were in when we first met them back in 2003. So many fans wanted to see the show end with Mark finally snapping and killing Jez or something, but a non-ending where the pair remained hopelessly tethered to one another as they slid miserably into middle age just felt way more fitting for this show and these characters. This is absolutely the fate they deserved. Number 3. Deadwood. HBO's beloved Western series Deadwood is an especially interesting case on this list, because for many years it was actually held up as an incredible show that was tragically denied the conclusion it so richly deserved. Indeed, David Milch's Shakespearean, expletive-filled epic was unceremoniously cancelled after 3 seasons in 2006, resulting in a final episode that felt anything but final. Yet fans were unexpectedly thrown a lifeline 13 years later when HBO released Deadwood the movie, a feature-length conclusion to the original series. Impressively, Milch managed to rope in almost every single major member of the cast's massive ensemble, yet in a way that didn't feel remotely fanservice-y or patronizing. Furthermore, Deadwood the movie paid off literally dozens of character arcs inside a tight 110 minutes without feeling rushed, leading up to a show-stopping conclusion which boasted one of the finest closing lines to any show in history. Number 2. Better Call Saul. For Breaking Bad fans, it was simply a relief that Better Call Saul could get anywhere close to its forebearer's greatness. Yet by the end of its run, Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould's spin-off series had arguably matched, if not outright exceeded, Breaking Bad's dramatic accomplishments. Whether you put the prequel series above its predecessor or not though, there's a little arguing that the show fantastically dramatized Jimmy McGill's transformation into Saul Goodman, and then in its later stages dared to go thrillingly beyond even that. Powered by masterful performances from Bob Odenkirk and Ray Seahorn, Better Call Saul went from strength to strength throughout its 6-season run before arriving at an ending that eschewed the more overt sentimentality of Breaking Bad's finale for something that felt a little more emotionally honest and even, at times, kinda profound. For a show many approached with mild skepticism when it premiered back in 2015, including its own creators, that's quite the phenomenal achievement in hindsight. Number 1, 6 Feet Under. But the one show that most persuasively stayed the course above all others, well, that has to be 6 Feet Under. Alan Ball's masterful drama about a family-operated funeral home in California bounced back from an uneven and divisive 4th season with a 5th and final one that turned out to be its very best. Creator Alan Ball confronted the mortality of the Fisher family in unexpected and often devastating ways, leading up to a basically flawless series finale which is rightly held up by many TV critics as the all-time greatest. As a perfect exclamation point to the show's 5-season investigation into our collective engagement with and aversion to death, Ball made the ingenious decision to end 6 Feet Under by, and spoilers, major spoilers right now, by revealing the future deaths of almost every major character. In a Sia-backed climactic montage you'll need a heart of stone and not to sob through, Ball gave audiences the most absolute ultimate closure possible, showing us how the Fishers and those in their periphery live the rest of their lives, and it doesn't get much better than that. So that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you agree that these shows stuck the landing, and are there any great ones I missed off here? Let me know, and while you're down there, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.